Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield as much time as he may consume to the sponsor of the legislation, the member from the great state of Mississippi, Sheriff Ezell.
The gentleman from Mississippi is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Speaker, my resolution expresses our support for the men and women who serve our communities in law enforcement. These brave officers work tirelessly to protect and serve, putting their lives on the line regularly to uphold the rule of law. As a former sheriff and a 42-year career law enforcement officer, I've seen what these men and women go through. I know the toll taken by long hours, sleepless nights, and time spent away from families. I know what it's like to console grieving families of victims from heinous, horrendous crimes and tragic accidents. I've seen things most Americans will thankfully never have to experience. When others run away, our law enforcement officers are trained to run towards danger, to fight crime, and to protect the innocent. Far too often, they don't make it back. Mississippi has not been spared from these tragedies. In December of 2022, Bay St. Louis Police Sergeant Steve Robin and Officer Brandon Estorff were shot and killed while conducting a welfare check on a woman and a child sitting in a vehicle. Last June, Madison Police Officer Randy Tyler was shot and killed while responding to a hostage situation. And this January, George County Sheriff's Deputy Jeremy Berlone was shot and killed during a traffic stop on a rural highway. These men who made the ultimate sacrifice represent the best of our state and our nation. Fallen heroes like these officers are being honored this week during National Police Week. Madam Speaker, there is no better time for us to pass this resolution and make it clear we stand with law enforcement this week. While thousands of local law enforcement officers and their families are gathering in our nation's capital, my resolution does just that. It expresses our gratitude for the selfless service of local law enforcement and the importance of a healthy relationship between law enforcement and the communities they protect. It also condemns attempts to undermine that relationship through rhetoric about defunding and abolishing the police. These narratives demonize local law enforcement officers and encourage hostility towards law enforcement. Ultimately, they put both officers and the general public at risk. We've seen targeted ambush-style attacks on law enforcement officers, including one as recently as Sunday. Agencies across the country are struggling to hire and to keep talented officers as they vilified for deciding to serve their communities. At the same time, we're seeing disturbing increases in crime, especially in cities like Washington, D.C., and America's fear of crime is at its highest level in 30 years. Madam Speaker, it's time for this body to lead. It's time for us to make it abundantly clear that we stand with our law enforcement against lawlessness. It's time for a strong bipartisan majority to say once and for all that we will not defund, disband, dismantle, or abolish the police. I urge my colleagues to join me in voting for this resolution. And with that, Madam Speaker, I yield back.